nobody was ever asked for their card?
In person, no. We're thinking about if we should or if we should not, but in the end, we decided no, we want to trust everybody's.
And that's still the policy to this day, that you're just trusting that people don't show the card, or did that change somewhere?
So that was June 5th of this year that we were asking just in person if they were not. And, we tried that for a couple of weeks. There wasn't, only a little bit of negativity came from that, which you know of, but just from my personal opinion, from what I seem to experience and observe, it just seems like everyone in Spartanburg and in other states around the world, because I talked to my family and they said the exact same thing. Everyone was fine with wearing the masks, but then all of a sudden it just like a little switch happened and everyone was like, no, I'm not going to wear the masks. And so that opinion switch really showed us that, wow, we don't have the capacity to control this policy in place. And no one knows that they have the capacity to do so until they enforce a policy.
Right. So back to my question, I don't mean, and thank you for that context. Has there been at any point, show us your vaccination card or you're not allowed to, or you're going to have to wear a mask, basically? Is that in writing somewhere?
We sent an email that said where we may ask for, I don't remember the exact words, but
words, if you want to read them, I have the exact words. Masks for vendors are required at the market. This was on May the 27th. This went out. Even when walking around, unless you want to show me your vaccination card, per the CDC guidelines, vendors who have been fully vaccinated will be permitted to remove their masks. If you aren't vaccinated or you choose not to show us your vaccination card, you will be required to wear your mask until the CDC decides to change their guidelines. The farmers market staff will be required to follow all of these guidelines. This will be strictly enforced. If you don't bring a mask, we'll help and give you one. That's basically what you wrote in that email. So you did require, I guess, the card?
So that email was sent, yes. We talked about it afterwards, and we said when we were in person, we will not ask. So there was not one time that we asked for a card.
So what happened with Travis? Because he got a warning written up from the marketing manager. What's her name? Heather, right? Heather Rains? There.
Yeah, but if we cannot use last names.
Not find the people, right? So we're not talking in esoteric language. But he got this warning letter from you guys that basically said you're being written up and put on notice because you disregarded the mask policy and created a toxic environment amongst the other vendors regarding the mask policy.
Keto Chow is a customizable shake mix that is also perfect for cooking and baking, giving you simple, nutritionally perfect meal options. Keto Chow. Make keto easy. Discover your favorite flavor at jimmylovesketochow.com.
So the second one, we'll put to the side for a second because I and you can tell me if you know, but the first one, disregarding the mask policy, if there's nobody asking about the vaccinations, why would the mask policy even be in place? And then knowing that once they were booted, just a few days later, and correct me if I'm wrong about this, Jordan, a few days later, the mask policy was removed where nobody has to wear one anymore. And I was just there this last Saturday. I mean, a few customers were wearing them, but hardly any of the vendors were wearing them. The mask policy is lifted. So what happened there?
So like I said, we realized that we could not enforce the mask policy like we originally thought. And Travis knows this. I've had a one-on-one conversation with him.
Yeah. But he was very complimentary of you. He said, you've been the most professional of all the people at Hub City that he's dealt with. You've been the most professional and the one that's listened to him the most. So kudos for being that executive that you are. Yes.
So, and it wasn't an easy conversation. It wasn't an easy decision. From our conversations with Travis, until we lifted the policy, he did not want to come back to the market. He said that he will not wear a mask, but the toxic environment was just, respecting the policy, whether we can enforce it as much as we possibly can. In the beginning, we were doing what we could, but we were realizing that he was going around and trying to get other vendors to not follow it as well, from what we observed.
Cooperate the other vendors. Did any vendors come to you and go, oh man, he's going around telling us not to wear a mask anymore and to buck you? So you got cooperation from other vendors?
Yes, we heard that from other vendors.
Okay.
So, and the situation that resulted in that, I think that it's between Travis and I, or in our organization, and I want to respect the privacy of that.
Of course, but
was it
thing about what thing on 622 with you and Ellen, whoever that is, where they expressed they really wanted to stay at the market. They've been there for 7 years, so like they've been the stalwarts of that market. And I've vended with them many times over the years, and they said that they suggested that the mask policy be dropped, and even acknowledged that this is a difficult decision. But then a few days later was when you guys decided to drop them.
The masks?
You dropped them, and then you dropped the mask policy. Yes.
Yes, those happened in the same week.
So once the mask policy was dropped, Jordan, why wasn't Travis and his business allowed back in?
It was because of the reaction to our policy and to the warning. With the Facebook posts that were posted, and how being banned from the market, how that was not true. He had every ability to come back, and the tagging of basically the extreme posts, the extreme reaction to the post, and the direction that it went, and the hurtful words that we received from Travis to our staff, we decided as a private organization.
What was said? What was hurtful?
I'm not going to go into that. I think that
fair enough, but I'm saying if you're making an accusation, I would like to at least put it on record so Travis has a chance to respond. But